to us. Like there's no money for that.
Wow.
And so, we kept going though. We didn't let that stop us. So we went to family and friends, and we got our first round of funding through family and friends, and our dolls were born. We found a manufacturer. We went to like all of the Toys R Us at the time, because there was still a Toys R Us at that time.
Hmm.
We went to
Hmm.
FAO Schwartz over in New York. There was still a FAO Schwartz in New York, and we just looked for manufacturers, and we found this one manufacturer. He was located in Maryland, and we lived in Jersey. So we called him and said, listen, we're trying to launch this dog company. Would you talk to us? And he said, sure. So we went to Maryland. We drove to Maryland, about 3 hours from New Jersey. And we spent about 8 hours in his warehouse. We had no food. All we did was we had notebooks and we had water. And we took notes like crazy. And we left
Wow.
out of there on fire. And from that day forward, we never stopped. We never looked back. And I call that my first real business, because that business I learned about taking investment dollars. I learned
Mhm.
about PR from scratch when you have no money. I learned about bootstrapping. I learned about manufacturing an idea
Mhm.
that was in my head, turn it into paper, turn it into clay, turn it into wax, turn it into vinyl, all of this. So I call that my first real business, and that was 1999. And we ran that business for 6 years to 2005.
Wow. Wow. I would love to see one of
That's pretty
those dolls. I
amazing.
bet they're so cute.
Oh, and I got some in this
I'm sure
art
you
museum
have
in my
one.
closet. I do. I have a whole set
Okay.
there in the closet though. Maybe a break. If we
Wow.
go to a break, I'll pull them
Okay.
out so you guys can see them.
Yeah,
But
thank
Okay.
If
you.
you
Yeah,
Google
we'll
my
take a break.
name and you Google Big Beautiful Dolls, you will see them online.
Wow. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome. You like, oh, I'm sorry. I look, I was just listening to her talk. You are absolutely gifted. I mean, to look at something like that and be like, you know what? We gonna do this. That to me is a gifting from the Lord. So God bless you for exercising your gifting and growing and getting better and better and better. So what other business ventures have you embarked on since that one?
So God is funny. God always give me like these impossible dreams that I have to make possible.
Yes.
So we ran that company for 6 years, almost 6 years, 5 years, 5.5 years.
Mhm.
And then my husband works in pharmaceutical as well. They lost a
Mhm.
contract. They lost a patent to one of the drugs they made. So we decided to move
Oh.
to Georgia in
Mhm.
2013. And when I came down here, I was starting completely from scratch. Now I was born in Georgia, but I spent most of my life in Jersey. And so I said to him, I want to move back down south. And so he was like, okay, am I going to be able to find a pharmaceutical job in Georgia? And I was like, I don't know. I'm sure they have one somewhere. So we decided to take the leap of faith and come to Georgia. When I
Mhm.
got down here, I started completely over. So I went to go. I was in I live in Gwinnett County. I was in
Mhm.
Snellville going to Bath and Body Works, and I couldn't find anybody to do my hair. And at that time, I wore my hair short. And this
Mhm.
girl was walking down the street. Her hair looked gorgeous, and I said to her, "I know this is gonna sound crazy, but who does your hair?" And she told me who it was. So I went to this hairdresser. When I got there, there was a young lady who was there. It was her birthday, and she was having
Oh.
a fit because she was stressed out. And she was like, "Well, we're going to this movie premiere film festival." And I said,
Mhm.
"Film festival?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "Yes, it's in Decatur." And I was like, "Where's Decatur?" So she told me about. She gave me the address, and I went to the film festival. When I
Mhm.
got to the film festival, there were so many filmmakers there, and they were so excited to talk to people because they were trying to get distribution for their film. Now, to back up a little bit, when I did the dolls, I did a documentary, my first ever, and I had a film crew kind of follow me around and put together this documentary. Now, by today's standard, it was trash, right? But back then, I thought I was doing something, and so
Right.
they followed me around, and I was able to put that documentary on Amazon. And every
Mm.
year I would get at least three sales, and it was $27. So I go to this film festival, and I see all these people, and they're so excited to get distribution for their films. They put a lot of work into it. And there was
Mhm.
a distributor there, and they were talking about how they can help them get distribution. And they said, we can help you get in all these places, but you probably won't see any royalties for like 15 years. So I'm sitting in the
Wow.
audience. I said, did he say 15 years?
You did.
So he said 15 years. And I'm thinking, that's crazy because I have a crummy documentary sitting over on Amazon that makes me at least $90 a year. I'm like,
Right,
at least,
right.
right? And I said, that sounds crazy. So when I left the film festival, I was like, okay, God, I know you sent me here for a reason. What is the reason?
Mhm.
And literally, as I was driving down, I think it was 85 coming back to Gwinnett County, He's like, start a TV network. And I was like, what? Start a TV network? Told me to start a TV network. And as I sat there and thought about that, I was like, okay, now how am I going to do that? Right around
Mhm.
that time, Roku TVs were getting very popular and
Mhm.
Roku set top boxes were getting very popular. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, so you want me to start a TV network. How am I going to do that? So I started to look into like getting developers to create this TV platform. And
Mhm.
they told me astronomical amounts of money, like all of this
Yes.
money. I was like, that is not going to happen.
Mm.
And he sat me down and I said, and then who's supposed to be on the TV? Because I'm a little bit of an introvert, right? Like, who's
Right.
going to be on this TV? He said, do a casting call. I said, a casting call. Okay, I know how to do a casting call. So I put a casting call out. 300 women answered the
Wow.
call. We
Wow.
interviewed 39 of those women. And out of that 39, 19 became our partners. And we launched an online TV platform before streaming TV was what it is right now, because you got about 10 million apps. It was only
Yes.
like about 3,000 on Roku at the time. It's about
Wow.
40,000 now. We were probably like 3,001. We launched a TV
Wow.
app on Roku television called HerTube. So that was my next venture. So I went to my
Love
partner,
it.
my friend. I said, hey, girl, listen, I got this idea, and I told her what it was, and we launched HerTube TV, and I
Mm.
ran that business from 2013 to 2018, 5 years.
Wow.
And again, I'm always the first one. I'm always first to the party, right? So by the time everybody else comes to the party, I'm tired because I have done all of this stuff. I'm worn out. So by the
Right.
time 2018 came around, everybody was on TV. Like I was on. So
Mhm.
we launched Roku in 2013. We launched on Amazon Fire TV in 2014 because that's when Amazon came out with its app. So we were on
Right.
Fire TV in 2014, and we just ran that business probably for another 5 years. We had people produce their shows. We had about 800 videos on the channels, and just women
Wow.
who just had never been on TV. Once they kind of branched off and started being coaches and health and wellness people,
Mhm.
because we had given them a platform to be on TV. And so they went
Exactly.
in all of these households. I
Right.
think at the height of our business, we had about 108,000 subscribers on Roku. And
Wow.
so they got a lot of visibility. So that was my next big venture after that. And then after that, I was burned out. So I was like, I'm tired. So I'm done with that. And then I started going back to podcasting. I had been podcasting a long time, since like 2009, but it wasn't an industry. It was like, hey, we got this podcast thing going on. And but then in 2018, I was like, okay, it's starting to kick off. I got to take it more seriously. And I was
Mhm.
going to go into politics. And I went to a couple of meetings and quickly realized, girl, you're not cut out for politics. Like, ooh, that's not you.
You
So I
too honest.
decided not to too honest, too honest. And listen, Mike, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, so it's only so many things you can say to me that might not get me in trouble and have me on TikTok. So I was like, I don't want to be on TikTok embarrassing my family, so
Right.
I'm not gonna do politics, right? So
Mhm.
I decided
Oh
not
no.
to do politics, and I decided to do podcasting, which is a great, great, great platform. And
Mhm.
I launched Good Morning Gwinnett. And I met all the politicians. I interviewed all of them, so that became my thing. So I've been running Good Morning Gwinnett now from 2018 up until right now. So it started out as a podcast.
Mhm.
It has now expanded into a whole new site, and now
Wow.
a newsletter. So I have a news site, a newsletter, and I'm about to put it on Amazon and Roku. So
That is awesome. I love it. Now, is that a part of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce that was mentioned earlier?
no, that's not a part of Gwinnett Women's Chamber. I was a vice president at another chamber, and
Mhm.
one of the things that we realized was that women, we needed a little bit more. And chamber, for one thing, most people don't know what a chamber does. They think that you're going to join a chamber, you're going to make all this money. That's not what a chamber does. A chamber is there to support your businesses, to help you grow, to help you network and build
Mhm.
relationships. It's a relationship builder, right?
Mhm.
What I found when I was a vice president of the other chamber was that there was not a lot of relationship building.
Mm,
amongst women. We needed other things. Like we needed to talk about wellness and we wanted to talk about relationships. And that's not what you talk about at a general chamber meeting, right? Nobody's
right.
talking about relationships. It's like, hey, we're gonna do some speed networking and you're gonna pass out your cards and all this kind of stuff. So
Mhm,
I decided to step down from that chamber and launch Good Morning, Gwinnett Women's Chamber in
mhm,
2023. So that was another totally different venture. And so again, went back to my friend, like, hey girl, got this idea for this chamber. She has been my business partner. Her husband and my husband have been like brother-in-laws for like 27 years. She has been my
wow.
business partner that long. And she
Wow.
became the vice president of the chamber and I was the president. So we decided to launch that. That is truly a heart project, to support women in business and to help them get into tech and to help them get into other non-traditional fields as business owners.
Mm,
So that was our premise for that. But we wanted to make sure we focus on not just business, but financial literacy as well as technology, because a lot of times you don't talk about that in the chamber. You talk about business and speed networking and referrals.
mhm,
Nobody
mhm.
talks about financial literacy. Nobody talks about tech per se. So we knew that those were going to be pillars to our chamber. And in order to make those the pillars, we had to start the chamber. So yeah.
And I'm not a networking person. I don't really know how to do that. It I don't know. To me, it seems just a little heartless. I do love making relationships with people, though.
Yeah.
You know, eh, connecting with folks and then them becoming my actual friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if not my friends, at least where we can get along together on a professional level. So I, I don't know if that's called networking, but what people do to network where they hand out cards and they're, it's a tit for tat type of thing. I've never just been really comfortable with that. What do you say to women who are looking to be in the business field or are in the business field that don't really, like you knew you didn't have a taste to be a politician. I know I don't really have that networking thing gift in me the way that a lot of other people do.
And believe it or not, most people don't know this about me, but I am an introvert. Like, okay,
Mhm,
I'm an ambivert, right? I can be an extrovert when I need to be. I
mhm,
hate networking.
Really?
I hate networking. So for me, whenever we do our events, they're very like intimate. They're not very large. The largest thing we have done is our two things. Is our gala that we do every year.
mhm.
That's a big thing. And then the Georgia AI Summit, that's a big thing. But that's not networking, that's education. Our
Right.
networking events are pretty intimate to the point where it's a lot of times there's so many people in the room, they're sitting on top of each other, but it's a
Mm,
conversation. Like we're not passing around business cards. You pass them out if you want to, but it's really about, hey, let's put a problem on the table and let's solve that problem.
mm,
That helps build relationships more than anything.
mhm,
We do the second Friday of the month. We do a networking breakfast. This past second Friday, we're in the room. We have our people come out, just different people. So there was a lady who I'd never seen before. She had never been there, and we
mhm.
were talking about AI, and she was trying to figure out some things. So that was our conversation. AI, how you using it in your business? If you're not using it, why not? That kind of thing. Well,
Right.
she told me she had to leave early because she had a meeting. So I said to
Mhm,
her, okay. So she said, how do I pay? And I said, the young man is walking around with the little payment thing in his pocket. So it was about 10 or 12 of us in the room having breakfast. And she said, okay, she was nice to meet everybody. So she left. When he came back in, another person was getting ready to leave. She was like, hey, I need to pay my bill. And he said, that's okay. The other lady paid for everybody in the room.
wow, that's
Now,
nice.
my breakfast alone, I know is $30. So she spent some money on that
Wow.
breakfast for everybody. And
Yes,
everybody
she
had to have this
did.
breakfast.
Yes, she
Right.
did.
So I thought that
Wow.
was really nice. So to me, that's a different type of networking, right? Because that's a
Mhm.
relationship builder. And because of that, most of the people in the room would never forget her. And I said to them,
Right.
I've been doing this for 4 years. No one has ever paid for my breakfast. Not only did she pay for mine, she paid for the entire room of people, which is about 10 or
Yeah,
12. So,
that's
I'm not, if you don't like networking, this is what I would say. Meetup.com is your friend, and Meetup is not paying me. They should be paying me, but they're not. Meetup.com is your friend because what it does is it allows you to create these intimate events, and then people
Mhm.
come to you. You don't have to go and pass out cards. I suck at that. I'm not a small talk kind of person. And most networking
Right.
events, you're small talking, right? I hate it. So I like to have conversations with meaning. And if that's you and you feel like I hate small talk, I hate going up to strangers and passing out cards, I hate that. Create events where you bring people to you. And meetup.com is one of the best ways to do that. Like I've been on meetup.com probably 6 or 7 years. It is one of the best platforms because once you put your event out there, it sends you the traffic. It lets everybody in the area know you have an event and they can just show up. Most of the people that show up to our breakfast, I don't even know the people. They're not even members of the chamber. They're like people who say, I swear you saw us at on Meetup, which I think
Mm,
is amazing. Yeah. And
wow.
she saw it on Meetup and I was like, welcome. And she paid for everybody's breakfast that day.
That is a really kind gesture, and just for people who have any kind of manners, you're gonna want to send a thank you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
that initiates a conversation in and of itself. So generous. I just wanted to say thank you, and let you know that I wasn't expecting it, and you made my day. I mean, anything that you're really feeling, and that can start in and of itself a conversation, or even if you send a thank you card, you've got at least the beginning of a relationship. That at least is what it sounds like to me, where you can start
Yeah.
building from there. And that sounds more like something that I would be willing to do. Like William will tell you, we met via social media. And it was a
Mhm.
me reaching out to, get an interview, but we just kicked it off. Me and Reverend Dimmer, we were just almost like instant friends. So, the,
Right.
and it's worked out. I mean, we've known each other since that particular point, and worked together since that particular point. Never seen him in person, but he is one of my friends, and we've been in business together for years now, almost a decade. I think
Wow.
next year it'll be a
Yeah.
decade, that we've been working together. So, but that's because we fostered a relationship. It started out, as a business, just a minor business transaction. I would like an interview on your platform if you let me. And he said yeah. And then from there, because we just got along so well, we remain friends. And I think it's been lucrative for the both of us, but I'll let William be the judge of that. But that's the type of thing
Well,
that.
it yeah. No, these are we're still operating in the red, but that's okay. That's okay. The thing about it was that when I met Ann, it has been going on a
We're
decade,
still
and
operating.
Ann got in contact with me.
Well, I mean,
We still
I
operate.
I mean, in different. I don't mean necessarily we make millions and millions of dollars, but
Oh no,
I
okay,
I
but
think
that's
for
okay.
me personally, the relationship building part of it is lucrative. We prosper together in that
It's
way,
been
if
rich.
nothing
It's, it,
else.
it has been because I met so many wonderful, and I haven't met
Yes.
Audrey in person either, but I just fell in love with
Wow.
her story, the things that she does, and she does so
Mhm.
many different things. And I think did I ask you before, Audrey, do you ever sleep? Because you are doing a lot of things, and we have a lot
You
I
know
know
what's
that
crazy?
feeling,
I just
girl.
said
Audrey.
to my
Uh,
I just said to my husband, I said, okay, tonight I go to bed on time so I can get up in the morning at 5 o'clock. And here's why I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Because and I think we may have talked about this, William. I want to expand my show, right? And
Mhm.
so for the last almost let me see, 2018, we're in 2000, 7 years almost. December be 7 years. It's just been me doing all of the episodes. I've done probably 1,200 episodes of the show by myself. Um, and so it's a lot of content, but I
that's
was like, I
amazing.
want to expand the show. And so how am I going to do that? Um, because I want, so I'm a stickler about my show. I've tried to bring people on to co-host with me, but they don't take it as serious. And when money is not flowing like you
Mhm.
want it to flow, people like they'll say yes for like maybe 4 or 5 episodes. Some congratulations to all of you for sticking together this long, but they'll say yes for like maybe 4 or 5 episodes. Then it starts to become, yeah, I don't know if this working out right here. So I was like, I don't want to do that. Now
Right.
that we have AI,
Mhm.
I can expand my show however I want to expand my show. So I
Mhm.
wanted to bring on a 6 a.m. segment of the show, which is just news. And I'm gonna bring on the 6 a.m. and it starts tomorrow. And it's a segment, and it's just gonna be like probably a 5 or 10 minute segment talking about some breaking news in Gwinnett County. And my host name is CJ. His name is
Wow.
CJ Williams. right? And he's all AI. So I will be getting up at 5 o'clock to make sure CJ puts out the 6 a.m. episode, and then I can go back and lay down for an hour before I go to the gym. So, I will be sleeping, William. I said all that to say I will be getting some sleep so I can get up and get CJ ready to go out at 6 a.m.
Wow, that's
Oh,
amazing.
outstanding, outstanding. Uh, let's go to meet Mike. Mike, meet Audrey Bill. And right after this, we're going to go to a commercial break. And Audrey, you can grab one of those plus size dolls and show it to the camera, okay? And Mike,
Okay.
what do you have for Audrey? What would you like to ask her?
Oh gosh, I've got so many questions. I've been writing as everyone's been speaking here. Audrey's okay for me to call you Audrey, by the way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I always like to ask. I don't want to presume anything. By the way, Audrey, you and I have something in common. I like to keep my hair short all the time. It works for me. I don't have any problems. You see what?
I said you got a style. See, you got it styled, Mike.
That's right. No, I used mousse this morning. How's it looking? Is it okay? I don't have any problems finding a barber or a hairstylist. So, Audrey, it's very nice to meet you. You sound like a fantastic lady who's accomplished an awful lot. But listen, I noted in with Judge Ann talking to you and stuff. It sounds like you have a lot of free time. You need to get more stuff involved in your life. Just kidding.
What is that? It's hilarious. So last night I went out with my friend, my business partner, right? So I told my husband, I was like, "Hey, I'm going out." I said, "Do you have plans for the night?" He said, "No." I said, "So Georgia and I are going out." So she told her husband, "Hey, we're going out." So we go out, right? We left. We met up at 8:30. By 11 o'clock, we were both yawning, like, "Oh my God!" Like, so ooh, I'm so sleepy right now. It was so funny. I don't get out as much as I want to. I will tell you that my favorite things to do is like going to like the games. Like I like going to the Braves games. I like going to the Hawks game. I like going to the Falcons game. I go to a lot of football because my brother's a high school football coach. My nephew is a college football coach, and my baby nephew
Right.
plays college football. So when the
Mhm.
fall comes, I'm very busy. Like I get out and I do football stuff. But during the summertime, it's like I'm gonna do all of these things and I get nothing done. But last night I did go out for a little while, and you can tell I'm not a hangout party kind of girl,
Mhm.
because I not anymore because I did enough party in my younger days. 4 days a week I was in the club. Now
Wow.
2.5 hours, I'm like, woo, girl, like, and she's like, I know, right? It was crazy, but
Be careful. Be careful, Audrey. That senior thing starts to sneak up on you.
terrible,
Wow.
terrible, Mike,
And
terrible,
yeah, it's not a
terrible.
lot of fun, but that's all right. Life is good. So
It
I'm
is.
with Judge Ann and with you about networking. I'm not a networker, and I know William won't believe me or Judge Ann, but I was painfully shy. And then I got out of high school, went into college. I was working jobs. I worked 3 jobs, and swam and played water polo. And I found out that I waited tables at a really nice restaurant, and I found out the more I talked and the more I was a little bit silly, the more money I made. So that brought me out of being so very, very shy, and I was painfully shy. Now I can speak to 10th. I've been on home plate at Angel Stadium in California, speaking to 10,000 people with no problem whatsoever. So I've overcome my shyness, and I'm glad I did because it really brought me out of my shell. So yeah, I'm not for the whole networking thing. The only way my past life is I'm retired from the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, where I retired as an investigator, and I found out the only way I got things done is by building what Ann mentioned, by building relationships where you had this trust with each other, that you knew you could depend on these people to tell you got spinach in your teeth or you stink. You needed friends like that. Real friends
Yeah.
that'll tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. So I'm all for building the relationships. So let me pose because this is about AI today. So I want to ask you, and this is kind of very rudimentary question, but there's the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI that William was mentioning earlier when he introduced you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can elaborate any way you wish, Thank you for being a guest here on the Boomerang Show. But on a scale of 1 to 10, do you see AI as an advantage 1 to 10 or disadvantage 1 to 10? Can I pose that question to you? Is it fair?
You can pose that question. So I see I see it as been an advantage 1 to 10, a 10, right? I
Mhm.
also see that it could be a disadvantage, and that's a 10 too. And so let me just break that down. When I think about AI right now, where we are, I call it the equalizer. Why do I call it that? Because
Mm,
it has afforded people to get into that space with little or almost no money because of the amazing tools that are out there, right? When I look at our economy and the jobs and the way things are going, we need to, as a people, look at how can this help me and my family, how can this help me and my community. And so
mm,
when I think about that, it is an equalizer because the learning curve is almost non-existent. If you can write English, if you can write, or not even just English, you can write any language,
Gibberish.
talk any language. You can
Yeah.
tell the AI, create this, do this, go find this, go scrape this, and it'll do it for you. And
mm,
the further we get along, the more intelligent it becomes. So it is a great equalizer. Here's what you have to have the AI can't give you: imagination,
mm,
right? You
mm,
have to have imagination because if you can't tell the AI what you're imagining, it can't create it for you.
mm,
That's where the problem becomes when it comes to that side. If you have any type of imagination, you can create something in that space. Now, the downside to that is it is really smart and it's getting smarter, right? And I don't know if you saw Elon owns Grok. And Grok is really smart, but Grok has a sense of humor that it talks out loud. Like you can talk to ChatGPT, it has a sense of humor too. But Grok will tell you crazy stuff and say crazy things just based on what you type in. You don't even have to ask it crazy things; it will tell you crazy things.
mm,
That's how smart his AI is. It says things, it does things, it has no filter. It is the craziest thing. You
mm,
have to be careful because it
mhm,
is learning from everything we do. Everything. So if
mm,
you putting out trash, it's learning trash. It's kind of like, remember what they say, what you put in, what you get out? That's
Garbage
exactly
mhm,
in,
what it is.
garbage
So
out, right?
that's
mhm,
right.
mhm,
So if people are putting out garbage, chances are the AI is going to put out garbage. It's going to
mm,
say things. It's going to have biases. Like it's going to have those things because it is feeding off of us. It's almost like, oh my God, like the body snatchers almost. And I don't want to get crazy like that, but when you think about it, it is snatching billions of bodies and not
mhm,
bodies, but what you're putting out into the universe. So it can become a huge thing on the upside, but it's
mm,
also very dangerously becoming a bad thing on the downside. Now, I had someone say to
mhm.
me on an interview I did about a month ago, they was like, it's the devil, it's demonic. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of like money though. And I said, when you hear people say money is the root of all evil. No, money is a tool, and people are the evil side to that, right? And so when you think about AI, I kind of think of it the same way. It's a tool. And it depends on how you, the person, choose to use it. If you choose to go in there and create crazy stuff, it's going to create crazy stuff. If
Mm,
you go in there and create this stuff, it's gonna create good stuff. It's the person behind the tool. It can't create anything without you talking to it. And no,
mm,
if we stop talking to AI right now, it's not gonna do anything because nobody's feeding any kind of commands. There's no prompts going on. But if we feed the good commands, it puts out good information. When I'm in my chamber role, I'm always looking at how to leverage AI for the community use, right? And I'm
mhm,
always thinking about, okay, what can we do to help people, leverage this to start businesses, to grow businesses, to create new opportunities. And it's just a matter of sitting down and thinking, okay, how can I help my community? What do they need? And I did a boot camp. I did 2 boot camps recently where I taught some people how to do some things. And I said to them, it doesn't matter what industry you in, if you're in the industry, there's a problem in that industry, and you have to say, okay, what problem can I solve that's a real problem and for
right,
the industry? And I give you a prime example. There was one person who took the class. She's an attorney, and she said, "Oh, she said, I just want to sell my purses that I make." Now she's an attorney, and as we kept talking, I said to her, "Well, I said, what's the problem in that industry?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm pretty new to the industry." But what she did say was, she had a heart for people coming out of prison. Like she
mm,
had with reentry. And
mm,
so the more we broke that down, she was able to come up with the tools to serve that population based on
yeah,
what she was passionate about.
right,
It's those type of things. Now that is a huge population of people.
right,
Huge. and they have a lot of issues. And she identified some issues that she felt like needed some service to, and she created a tool for that. So it's a 10 on this side, but it can be a 10 on that side as well. And I know it's a long way around, but I feel like it could be 10 on both sides.
You think it, may I interject something here? When you're talking about the prison population and jails and all of that, there's supposed to be rehabilitation. Okay, that's what our system is supposed to be, jail systems and prison systems. But usually, what happens, in my experience, is that somebody that's done something wrong goes to jail or goes to prison, and then they learn how to be better criminals rather than being rehabbed. So for this lady to try to do something to rehab these people and get them back into society where they're productive, and they putting their evil aside, they paid their time, and now they're going to live a productive life and stay on the good side of things. That's very admirable. I tried to talk to as many criminals as I possibly could, and inspire them to be better than what they were. I would tell them a lot of times, if I arrested somebody, I'd tell them when they're in the back of the car, handcuffed and stuff, I go, you know what, listen, brother, today you're a loser. What are you going to be tomorrow? What are you going to be next month? What are you going to be 10 years from now? You need to think about it. Are you going to start a family? Do you want a loving wife and 3 kids? Or what is it you want to do with your life? You need to think about this. And I'm not trying to be mean to you, but today you blew it. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I have people, I think I've told this story many times here on the Boomerang. I'd be shopping at the local grocery store here in Southern California, and I'd be going down the aisle with my cart, and I lock eyes with somebody coming the other way. And more times than I can remember, somebody, I don't know, I don't remember everybody that I had contact with, but more times than not, they'd come up and they go, do you remember me? I go, I'm sorry, I don't. And I'm like cautious because I'm going to get punched in the face or something. And they said, you drugged me out of the gutter. I was filthy dirty. I had robbed a house. You put me in bed and you talked to me. And before you took me to jail, you went by the 7-Eleven, which is a little stop and rob out here. And you bought me a sandwich. You got me a Coke. You wouldn't buy me a beer. You got me a pack of cigarettes, which I can only smoke one because I couldn't take the cigarettes into the jail. And you treated me like a human being, and you spoke to me. He goes, I want to know that you inspired me because I now have a lovely wife. I have 2 little boys, 2 little girls, whatever it was. And I'm very happy. And it's because you talked to me like a human being, and you touched me emotionally and spiritually. And I can't thank you enough. I've had that kind of scenario, that same scenario happen more than once. So inspiring people, which is what you're doing based on everything that I've listened to today, you've inspired people to be at their best. And that's the difference between management and leadership. You, lady, are a leader.
Yep.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
you are.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You know, my mom used to work at a detention center in Newark. And so she saw the kids when they were coming, 12, 11, 13, coming into from detention. And they called her Mama Bell,
Mm.
and they loved her. And she would always tell me, she would just talk to him. She would just talk to him, talk to him, talk to him. And I asked my mom one time, I said, was it anything else you really wanted to do with your life? And she said, I always wanted to open up a youth center. And I said, really? She never
Wow.
talked about it though. She never talked about that. That was something near and dear to her heart. And so, she raised my brother and I by herself. And we grew up, in Newark. We could have easily been a product of the system, a product of the streets.
Mhm.
I probably would have been a white collar criminal, but we could have been those things. But
Right, right,
and,
right, right.
but we did not. We did not become those things, and it was because of her. But she would tell us how she would, she knew all of the rap songs. She knew songs that I didn't know because the kids were singing them. She would come home singing them. Like, what song is that? So she would always say that, these kids are just kids who need somebody to talk to them, somebody to talk good things to them, to inspire them. And she would do that a lot. And I remember this one kid, his name was Kerry. He loved her. And when he got out, she told me, you better not come back in here. And he was like, Mama Bill, I'm just here because I got to take care of my grandmother. Well, he never went back. He graduated college. He tried to date my daughter later. My daughter said, no, I'm good. But he went to college and he has
Wow.
gotten married. He has 2 kids. And and then he just became a great person. But he was already a great person, right? He was just
Right.
doing what he needed to do to survive. And I think when you have people that inspire people and motivate people like you did, that's a great thing. So to you, a leader as well. I
Mhm.
applaud you. Now, what was interesting, Mike, when you were talking, I was like, man, Mike need to put them messages in a podcast, use AI, but use his voice or something so they can get it on a regular basis. This is what was coming to my mind, Mike. Like, you need to put the messages out a little bit often. Just record yourself and
Mhm.
put it out there. Clone your voice and put them out there so now they can listen to. Because I don't know about in Southern California, but here in Gwinnett County, our sheriff just put iPads inside of the prison so they can learn. So they have iPads
Mm.
in the prison so they can learn. And so that could be an opportunity for you to put something like that out there coming from you because you have been a law enforcement. You can tell these stories and you can inspire people. And that could be an app on one of those, they have some barriers up so they can't get to all the other stuff they want to get to, but they can get to educational stuff. So that's a thought. That's just something that popped
Right.
in my mind as you were talking.
I
And
still do
Audrey, I think you
I
onto
still do
something.
a fair amount of public speaking around 2 counties,
Mhm.
and get invited to a lot of different
Mhm.
organizations, American Legions and Elks Lodges and Moose Lodges and everywhere else.
Mhm.
So whenever I get asked to do public speaking, I always say yes, as long as I can fit it in. Because William's got me pretty busy here. He's like he's got me on a
That's right.
short leash. So
Audrey. As a matter of fact, Mike and I have been friends for well over a decade. I think going on 13 years now. And
probably.
Mike and I, it was hard for me to get him on his network because, especially before he retired. Well, he's semi-retired because he's out having parties every week. He's a DJ, right? And so, but
Mhm.
anyway, we did a show called "Refuse to Be a Victim." And we've done it here
Mm.
on the Boomerang. And this is where we come out mostly just before the holidays, and we try to tell people or inform people on how to be vigilant while you're out there shopping, because especially Christmas time, people around having a really good time, and they really aren't paying attention to their surroundings. Like going into these parking garages and things like that, opening your trunk and putting your packages in, not looking around what's happening when someone could push you into that trunk. So Mike, we do segments on that every year, and Mike, that would be a great podcast, an excellent
Mhm.
podcast. Mike is also was involved with uh, uh, Camp No Limits, and he took me up to Big Bear one year, and there was children there, and some had one limb missing or two limbs
Mhm.
missing,
Mm.
It was kids with
disfigured
limb
in some
loss.
way. Yeah, but they were running around. These kids were happy, and they were just doing their thing, just having a good time. Mike
Mhm.
and the sheriff's department, they had horses out there. They had games for them out there, and you wouldn't think that these kids had uh, any issues at all.
Limits.
And I was
Camp
thinking, I
No
said,
Limits.
Wow,
I'm
that's
thinking,
Kids
women,
in
interesting.
hold,
their
you
heads,
have
the
all my.
kids didn't, the children didn't have limits in their head. We had limits as the
Wow.
adults that were fully operational mentally and physically. These kids
Right.
couldn't care less. They were in their element and they were having a blast, regardless of how many limbs they had or didn't have.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Right.
nice.
And I saw a kid try to climb some steps. He fell down, and he had a limb missing, and he fell, and his dad stood there, just stood there. The kid got up by himself,
Mhm.
no problem, no issues. But the thing about it, and I'm thinking, how about those of us who don't have those issues right here, and we're complaining? I said, you know what? I should never complain again about anything. But Mike, that would be a great podcast.
That's
You
awesome.
know, and
Question for
also
you.
that other organization
You
you
mentioned
involved with,
I'm an
and
attorney,
this was with.
so you probably have heard the wonderful stories about attorneys using AI to prepare their cases and then getting into a lot of trouble because the AI lied and made up stuff to go with the arguments of the counsel. So I don't like it. I use it only if it's required. On the ministry side of things, we do um health and fitness articles for different magazines and whatnot. So there was one in particular, one organization that we were writing for, and they insisted that we use AI because they felt that it gave some type of edge, in terms of coming up with catchy advertising phrases, to get people to look at your material or whatnot. Okay, I'll do it if it's a must, but I personally do not deal with AI. I don't want to talk to Siri. I don't want to I don't want it on my cell phone doing nothing for me. I can type. Thank you very much. I'll get that much exercise with my thumb at least.
But you
But
know what, Ian?
my
I got, I got, I got to tell you this, and you're not alone in the way you think about that AI. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I hate to break it to you. You're gonna have to get more comfortable using because it is not going anywhere. It is replacing jobs. It's
Right.
not going anywhere. And what I would say to anybody who's afraid of having your AI hallucinate, train it. Train it on what you do. Because if you know that you have cases, and I'm sure you probably got documents and documents and documents upon documents of cases, you can train your AI on your cases. You can train your AI on your style. You can train your AI on law, like real law, that it's like, okay, there is a report here or there is a paper here that I know is a real paper. You train your AI on that. Now you're gonna have to put a little bit of money into the investment for that to keep it private, but that's okay. But I'm telling you, it's not going anywhere. So even a lot of people don't want to use it, but they will be left behind. I hate to tell you that. You will be left behind if you don't embrace it. And things are going to be different. I was looking at a video the other day, and I follow these guys who have billions of dollars. They're just billionaires, and they're trying to figure out how to stay alive forever, and how to live on other planets. And they spend a lot of money into this stuff. And one of the guys was talking about how if you're not using it right now, it's gonna push you out. You're gonna be behind everybody else who's using it, and it's still very early. We're still very early, even though it's advancing really quick. The things that they're planning for AI right now is out of this world. So I know a lot of people don't like it, but here's the thing: figure out how to like it. Figure out how to make it work for you, not you work for it, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's only getting smarter, and you know, I don't know if you still practice law, but it's going to be you against the ones that use it, right? So what does that put your firm if everybody else firm is using AI to do what they got to get done? Yes.
I've got a real quick question here. Is it somehow, if we depend so much on AI, is it limiting our creativity as human beings? And let me give you a very rudimentary example. If we don't learn how to do math and do your times tables and such, and we rely on a calculator all the time, you've lost that ability to do any kind of math work, long division and multiplication and so on. You've lost that ability because you've depended on this AI calculator, so to speak. Are we losing that ability as human beings to function because we're relying so heavily on some other entity to produce the work for us?
No.
Okay.
I can tell you, I am
Audrey, you
so
shaking your
creative now.
head. Let-
No, because I am so
No, let
much
me
more
jump in real
creative
quick.
now than I've ever been in my life. Like I'm creative anyway, but I'm even more creative right now because I lay in the bed on Sundays, and for some reason Sunday is my clarity day. I'll lay in the bed on Sunday, and I had just the smallest idea pop in my head, and when it pops in my head, I say, okay, what can I do with this? But by the time it tells me all of the things I can do, I still have to execute. So to answer that, no, because even though you're using it to be creative, you still have to execute. Like I can have a million ideas, which I do, and I would try to execute 500,000 of those, but it doesn't matter if you don't know how to say, okay, I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to execute. If you don't do that part, it's useless. So I don't think so, because I have all of the platforms that I've created. I don't need them. One is on sale right now. It's like, you know what? Let me sell this one because it's
But
just gonna sit here, and it's such a great platform. It's in the
but
football space
Audrey,
for
that's
high
you.
school football
That's
players.
you. That's you, Audrey, because you're very driven. I can see that. But what about people that rely on it, that just turn lazy? Because as human nature is, we as humans, we tend to be kind of lazy, and I'll include myself in that group. And if we're going to rely on all this stuff, doesn't it encourage kind of a sphere of laziness?
I don't think so, because ask yourself this, right? How often? What do you use it for? Like I use it for a lot of stuff. What do you use it for? Because the lazy person is only going to use it for one. They're going to use ChatGPT and it's going to write an email. That's the lazy person. So if that's all you're going to use it for, then okay, are you going to use it to write a book? And if you write the book, then what you going to do with the book? Are you going to market the book? Are you going to create the marketing plan with AI so you can sell the book? Are you going to scrape some email? What are you going to do with it? So if you don't become lazy, because you still have to do that work to make the AI do that work for you. You know what I'm saying? So even if you say, I'm going to use the AI to write the email. Okay, so they wrote the email. Now
Resume.
what? Okay, so resume. You're gonna write the resume, and then what? It has to go somewhere. They're gonna write it and leave it on your computer. So as you still have to execute. And so you're still gonna have to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna use this tool because it's a tool, and it's gonna write this resume because I want it to be worded a certain way. And then I have to go out and I'm either gonna have to do one or two things. I'm gonna have to go get another AI to scrape all of the jobs so I can make sure the resume is written right. So now the job that I'm applying for is going to be the job that I could probably get. That's one thing, but that's you doing the work, right? That's not, you still got to find an AI that's going to scrape for you. It, for me, it is a tool, and if you use it right, properly, it's good. Now, I will tell you, there are people who just use it just to do emails. All they do is type. That is such a small use of AI. Like it could do any. Like right now, you got doctors who are using AI to come up with treatments for cancer and certain diseases. They have one AI just broke a genome code that they've never been able to break in ever, but they have. So it's there, and it really depends on you. Like I find it is worse for me. Like I think I spent more time relaxing before AI than I do now. I don't. I get an idea, and I was like, let me see what this looks like, right? Because it's exciting because I can ideate in a minute. Before I would have to write a business plan, go do some market research. Not now. I can say, let me see if this is going to make sense. And a lot of times I'll look at something and then I'll pass it on to a client. Like, you know what, this would be a good idea. Like I have a client right now. She's a chiropractor, and she was trying to figure out another stream of income. She broke her shoulder in a car accident. You know, she can't do chiro like she used to. And so I was like, well, let me think about some stuff, right? So I'm thinking about some stuff, knowing who she is, came up with a great idea. And she goes, oh my God, I can implement that. So it really depends on the person. If the person is lazy, they're gonna be lazy no matter what. A lazy person is just gonna be a lazy person. It's kind of like the person that, they say money makes you more of who you are. AI is gonna make you more of who you are. If you're lazy, you're gonna be even lazier. But if you're not a lazy person, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like it just opened doors. Now I will tell you, you would think that a lot of people are using it. They're not. They're not using it. A lot of people aren't using it, which baffles me. But they're not using it. And then the percentage of people that are using it, they're not using it for anything serious. They're using it to create images, to write emails, maybe do some other stuff, but they're not really using it for a lot of stuff. To write some Etsy descriptions and some Shopify stories. They're not using it for like major stuff. It's very few people that are doing it. Very few people saying, you know what, let me use Replit and create a app for this particular problem that I have. It's not a lot of people doing it because one, it's going to take you really digging into what you're trying to create, and then understanding and having the patience to sit there when the AI is hallucinating to say, okay, that's not what I meant. You got to sit there and keep going over and over and over and watch your credits get burnt up. So I don't think it does. I think if you're lazy, you're lazy. It doesn't matter.
Now the credits
Wow,
thing.
wow.
Please talk
Audrey,
about that.
yeah, I have a question. No, I'm sorry. Ann, go on. I have a question
No.
afterwards.
You go ahead and ask your question. It's fine.
Yeah, my question was, and I was going along with Mike too, because I was thinking if we use depend on, and I see this is a whole different thing, and I hear exactly what you're saying, Audrey, because I was going along with Mike first, because if I'm using AI for all of these things, does that hinders or hinders my critical thinking? My critical thinking, having this, the ability. But I think you sort of answered that question because it's not like you're letting AI do all the work. You are giving the idea to AI and you're trying to expand on that idea. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, because I've learned
Yeah.
things from AI
And
that I had no clue about. And AI will make suggestions based on the input you put in. Like I I launched a platform, and
mm,
I learned it's called a Unity quilt, right? And I was just thinking I wanted to do because it was, I don't know, I was looking at something, it was something about war, and I was like, oh my God, we need more love and unity in the world. I'm gonna launch this giant Unity quilt that's digital, right? And I was like, well, how am I gonna make sure that I don't run out of space and run out of credits when I launch this quilt? So I was like, well, maybe people can just pay $1, put their quilt square on the digital quilt. That's what I said, right? AI came back and said, well, you should charge $25 for sponsors. ask for that. I was like, look, I just want to make sure that when I put this in Super Base don't send me a $10,000 bill. That's what I want to make sure because I'm trying to get 1,000,000 squares on this quilt. AI
Right.
came back saying you should think about doing this sponsorship for $25. And I was like, oh, what would that look like? And it said
Mm,
it looked like this. So critical thinking, it'll help you think
Hmm.
through some things that you may not have even thought about. And that's another good thing about it. Like
Wow.
you start out with one idea and it helps you lay out a plan for something you didn't even think about. I wasn't thinking about that. I'm thinking about I want to do something nice and get people, more happy about life and for peace. And it was like, so you might want to do this $25 sponsorship. And I was like, okay. Sure enough, people like, okay, I'll pay the 25. I'm like, what? That wasn't the plan. No, the plan was $1
right.
So,
Right.
so
just to
is
make sure I
what
could.
you're saying?
Okay.
As human beings, we tend to be linear thinkers, especially guys. We tend to think in one vein at a time. And what you're telling me is that you can think in that singular vein, but then give that singular vein over to AI, and then AI thinks in a spoke-like fashion in
Yes.
360 degrees. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm
Hmm.
saying. And if you spend some time with a
That's a
with
great
chat,
question.
and I say chat GPT because that's the one that I use the most, and that's the one I started out using. But if you sit there and you ask it, I'm talking about questions about anything, it will give you the next best answer. Now, I don't know how the free version work. I have the paid version, which is only $20 a month, but it will give you things that you haven't thought about. And you can say, and what do you think about this? And what did I leave out? Because I ask it all the time, hey, this is what I want to do. And I'll tell it what I want. And then I'll go back and say, and include stuff that may fit this that I may not have thought about. And it'll do that as well. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that because I hadn't thought about that. My mind is focused on this thing, and here's my plan for it. But then it'll come back and say, what about this? And maybe you should consider this. And as a bonus, add this. It will do all of those things for you. So your critical thinking it increases because
Hmm.
now it's giving you other stuff to think about, things that you may not have thought about
Okay.
previously.
Hmm.
Great. Hey,
Wow. Wow.
Audrey, we have to take a commercial break. We'll be back after this. What an exciting show.
When trauma tries to silence you, healing becomes an act of courage. Marie McKenzie knows that journey firsthand. Her book, Who Says You Can't Heal? Overcoming and Thriving After a Sexual Assault, is a raw, compassionate guide for survivors. With over 25 years as a nurse and her own story of survival, Marie helps readers find hope, a voice, and strength. If you or someone you love is ready to reclaim life after trauma, this book is for you. Get Who Says You Can't Heal by Marie McKenzie, now available on Amazon.
Wow. I want to and come back to the set just for a second, and then we want to go back to Audrey.
Now available on Amazon.
Well, I'm right here.
What happened there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I want to come back to the set just for a second.
Yeah, there's an echo, quite a bit of an echo.
Yeah, there's an extra point.
Yeah, but Miss Kearney, you mentioned Chat GPT and the organization that we used to write for. That was the one they wanted to use, and I guess they had the paid version because they were doing the little credits thing. So I didn't know how that worked, but explain what you mean by credits, because I've used two or three different versions. I've used Bard, which is on Google, and it's now got a new name. I think that one is easier. It seems more user friendly to me than the credit system and all that stuff that we were dealing with on Chat GPT. But so explain it to people, because different systems, in my opinion, from what I've seen from just those two, work a little bit differently.
So what's funny is, and you started. So Bart was one of the first ones that that Google put out. So it
Yeah.
had like three different names since then. But so now it's called Gemini 2.5, and it's paid.
Yes.
Um, the credits, what the credit does, it allows you to use prompts into the system. So if you have Chat GPT, I pay $25 a month for my general Chat GPT, right?
Mhm.
But in one of my apps, I need to use the API, which means that I wanted to build on top of Chat GPT. So I inside of that app, if you go inside my app and you ask it a question, it's pulling a call from my API. So that's a separate fee. That can go all the way up to thousands and thousands of dollars. So you have to be very careful on that side. On
Mhm.
the general public side, You get a certain amount of tokens every month, and it's probably millions of tokens. Like you probably never run out. I use mine every day, and I've never got a warning say you out of tokens. Not
Mm,
on the front end, not for me being a consumer user. For me being a developer on the back end, yeah, I can run up a $4,000 bill in a New York minute. So you have to be
mm,
very careful with that. But that's
Whoa.
for developers. You won't use that as a general user. You won't that that's not something as a general user. $20 should suffice for whatever you're trying to do. I use it a lot to do a lot of different things. So, and I've never run out of that. And I create a lot of content every day because I have a news site and a newsletter. So I create a lot of content. When you start to use something like a dev profile, like Replit or Lovable or Cursor, those you can run out of really quick, right? So I give you
mhm,
a prime example. I use lovable.dev and I use that to create smart apps, like a smart platform, smart websites. And I have $100 plan. I can run out of that really quick if I don't know what I'm saying to the AI, because every time I go in there and ask you the question, it deducts a credit.
mm.
And I've done that. So that's why I know. So instead of me doing that, what I'll do is, and I tell people this is what they should do, I'll go ask all my questions to Chat GPT, which is the consumer side. And then I get all my questions answered on Chat GPT, and then I feed it back into Lovable, which is my dev side. So this way you save your
Nice.
credits.
Look, you got some
Yeah.
side
Right.
hustle going on.
Yeah. So, but
Right.
that's how you save your credits, because if I sit there and ask all these questions to on the dev side, it's gonna eat up them 500 credits really quick. And
Mm.
then my product is not done. Now I got to go to the next plan, which is $200. And I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna go to my $20 plan, ask all the questions, and then drop that to my dev side.
So you can't develop at all
Wow.
on the other side of things?
Oh yeah, you can develop on Chat GPT. I just happen to like the outcome and the UX and the UI on Lovable. It looks way prettier. Like
Mm,
Chat GPT is just getting to the point where you can start developing. It'll give you some code, but then you have to take the code and you have to put the code on a platform. So let's say, for instance, you said I want to create this particular app. I need this color scheme. It's going to give you that, but then you got to put it somewhere. So you can put it on like WordPress or something like that. With Lovable, I design everything in there and I deploy it right on the Lovable platform. I can connect my domain name to it. Everything is done
mm.
right on one platform. Whereas with ChatGPT, you have to take the raw code and put it somewhere on a platform to be hosted.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
My question
you
is,
know,
how do you know all of this stuff? I mean, this is absolutely your knowledge is absolutely the amount of knowledge you have in this
yes.
stuff is so absolutely incredible. I've never spoken to anyone that had that level of knowledge as far as AI is
AI.
concerned. How do you learn all of this stuff?
Because I use it every day. Like I use it in
You
some
said,
capacity every single day. And that's how you get to get good at stuff, right? And that's how you get to
Mhm,
understand it, because if you don't use it, you only know certain parts of it, right? But I think I got about 8 tools that I use. I use ChatGPT, I use Opus, I use Suno. I love to make music. I just make music for fun. I just pay them to make music. No money comes from it. I just make music for fun. I use Suno, I use Leonardo. I use Canva, which has a big AI platform to it now. So I
mhm,
use these tools like every day, and I pay for them because I need to use them for certain things. Like there's one that's really really nice. If you get a chance, check this one out. It's really nice. It's called Napkin AI, right? You
mm,
can go in there and put in like
napkin?
a little line napkin, like a napkin, like you wipe your mouth with a napkin. You can
mhm,
put on a little line about something, right? It's
Uh-huh.
going to create an entire article about that and an image, like a
mm.
graph, which is very
Wow.
very nice. So if you're doing like research on something and you have the research, you can go in there, put in a blurb, and it's going to create this whole graph image that looks amazing. So when you're trying to create content, you want to make a presentation and you want to say, you know what, I need my presentation to pop. I need more than just a picture. I want to show a graph or image. It's going to take the information that you input and create the image for it in a graph or some kind of form. It's really really nice. So, and that's free. Like they
Wow.
don't even charge for that one.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
And that's
Yeah.
napkin. That's napkin you're talking
Napkin.
about. Now,
You
let
say
me
that
ask you
12
this.
times. Napkin.
Yeah, I know. No.
William,
I just want to.
napkin.
I just no,
William,
no.
napkin.
I,
William, nap.
Mike, be quiet. I, I look. I just want to clarify because she named off a bunch of AI
Yes.
sites, right? I just want to make sure napkin is the one. Let me ask you this,
Mhm.
Audrey. As a radio producer, we produce a lot of content. And the last time you were on, you were saying that you could take a broadcast, put it into one of these AI platforms, and it could break it down into smaller segments for you. Which one would you recommend to do that?
Opus.
Or would all of them do that?
Opus.pro.
Wow.
Okay, okay,
Well,
okay.
you're
Because a
mentioning
lot of
that, and I'm thinking, so is the Canva AI, is it good for creating like promotional materials then for shows or?
Yeah, so Canva, that's what Canva was known for. It became this other thing in the last 2 years, but Canva started out as a competitor to Adobe, right? For people who
Mhm.
weren't artistic, they wanted to have really nice graphics for their thumbnails and their podcast
Right.
artwork.
Mhm,
That's how they got known.
mhm.
This has just been over the last probably year that they moved into the AI, and over the last probably 4 months they moved into AI to create stuff for you. Like you can go in Canva right now and code. Like if you
Mm.
got the $12.99 plan, Canva has Canva AI, and you can say, "Hey, create me a calculator," and it's going to create you a calculator in Canva that you can deploy on Canva. So for
Wow.
people who are just starting out and they want to
Wow.
kind of wet their feet a little bit, pay the $12.99 to Canva, get all of what Canva has to offer, but you can also learn the code on Canva, which is
Mm.
which
Hey,
is pretty good. You can create some simple things. Now, if you want to create
That's
something
pretty
really
amazing.
like in depth and
Williams,
complex, Canva's not
since
your
you're so
platform. But for images, that's what they became known for. So you can create beautiful things in Canva, all kinds of
Mm.
since,
stuff.
William, since
Yeah.
you're so tight with
A
Siri, why don't you just ask Siri?
CANVA.
Mm. Canva Canva.
Serious for something else. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I have Canva, but I'm also finding out right now that I'm not using it to its
Full
potential.
extent. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like to create, like for instance, this flyer that was
Hmm.
done on Canva.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not using this to its fullest capacity, and this is what I'm really amazed about. Let me ask you, for those of us who are novice in this AI thing, where would you say we should go, like AI for beginners, or how do we get into this? Because it sounds very, very complicated.
Great
Uh,
question.
and like a lot of people, they said, "Oh man, I don't even want to be bothered with it." A lot of people don't want to deal with technology, but like you said before, we're going to be left behind if we really don't indulge ourselves or get involved with this. So, where would you say for a beginner? Where would they go to get the basics of AI to get an understanding?
So if you want the basics, you can go to any of those platforms. They have tutorials on their product, right? So if you want to master AI,
Mm,
ChatGPT has a master just for them. Like they have tutorials all over the YouTube just on that. What I will say is this, and I teach AI, like I teach platforms and how to develop stuff. If you want your handheld, you got to go to a human person, right? If you want somebody to answer your questions right now in human, that's a human person. But if you just want to learn how to use tools, you can go to the platform itself, or you can go to Udemy. Udemy
Mm.
is a great platform to learn anything. And the courses start at like $12.99 up to $200. But for the most part, you're going to fall right between the bar park of
mhm.
$12 and $20 to learn a 8 hour course on pretty much anything. And so that's udemy.com. That's
Okay.
a great
And
place
repeat.
too. You can't talk to anybody though. Let me just say there's a lot of video stuff. So if you get stuck, you're gonna be stuck. But if you can say, you know what, let me sit down here, let me learn how to do this. I might have to look at the video 2 or 3 times before I get it, then you can do that.
Mhm.
YouTube University is your friend. If you don't want to pay any money, go to YouTube University. It's gonna take you
Mhm.
longer. You can't ask any questions, but you can learn if you are diligent and consistent and
Mhm.
persistent.
Mhm.
I
Whenever
understand.
my husband
Okay.
wants
Hey,
to do
welcome to the
something,
set.
he'll go there. He'll go to YouTube.
Hmm. It
Absolutely.
just takes
Hey,
you
welcome
longer
to the
because a
set.
lot of
And
times you can ask
Audrey, I
questions.
want you to meet Dr. Cecilia Sims. Dr. Sims.
Hi, Dr. Sims.
Oh, God bless you, everybody.
Hey,
Listen, I'm not going to show
lady.
my face because I'm moving around and stuff, and I thought I'd pop in. Uh, Glad to meet you and just pop in for a few minutes. Andre, I started to call you. Let me stop putting titles on folks' names. I do that often. But anyway, I was just listening to you, and I'm glad I'm able to come in for a few minutes to hear some of the things about AI. I tell you, I'm trying to decipher AI myself, and it's a hard lesson to learn. So it's very slow for me as you get older. you understand. Hopefully, all of you that understand on here. I don't see no spring chickens except for Ann. I'm starting some trouble already.
I think I'm
Yeah.
offended.
Look, you already late. Get to the point.
Don't even worry about. You better be glad that I made it and taking time to be out with my friends. I just wanted to pop
Oh yeah.
in.
Okay. All right.
I get
Yeah.
don't stop me. You started,
Uh-huh.
William. See, you just mad because you old like the rest
I
of
am.
us. Anyway, Miss Andrea, I read your bio. It's quite impressive, and I had to come
Yes.
on for a few minutes and to listen to you because I need to be in school on this stuff, okay? Because it's not an easy. Well, it can be easy because I'm computer savvy, but still, seems like they keep switching up every day on some of the AI stuff. So, yeah,
They're not switching, they're advancing though. Like they advance every day,
yeah.
and it's a AI war right now between
Hmm.
Elon and Microsoft and Google and OpenAI.
Yeah.
Is a war. Like everybody wants to be on the front. But here's the problem: like we're so busy messing around with other stuff over here in the United States. China is killing all of us at one time.
Of
Like they're
course.
fighting with each other in the United States, and China is just
Yeah.
bypassing us like crazy. So they say whoever owns AI really owns the world at that point, and China's trying to own the world. So they are really way more advanced than we are. They do
Mm.
things way cheaper than we do. Like they have done deep seek. They've done quite a few where we put in hundreds of millions of dollars. They put in three for the same kind of product that's better. So we're spending a lot of money over here to advance ours, but they're surpassing us like really fast because we're not focused enough because we got too much going on right now.
Well, my thing is,
Right.
I read last week about how Elon didn't like the fact that his Grok listed him as a threat to democracy and all kinds of stuff that he felt was left wing media type of information, and so he wanted it to include more right wing stuff, and so they reprogrammed it, and now it spits
Mhm.
out a lot of disinformation, which is already a really huge problem because you got people really buying into these crazy conspiracy
Believe it.
theories, which, like you said, we
Hmm.
are just being bombarded with nonsense. We're fighting over the Epstein files right now. So it's this kind of stuff that's got everybody split up. But when you teach a computer system that's this complex to lie to people, and it's already lying anyway, that to me is
Mhm.
part of the problem. It's like, okay, number one, I can't trust you with personal information. So when it comes to case files, I mean, we literally have continuing legal education and stuff on this. Do not put anything that's attorney client privilege into an AI because it ain't gonna keep it a secret. It's learning, pulling from all this kind of stuff. So you can't put
Mm.
personal information about yourself, like social security numbers, birthdays, whatever. It'll spit all that out too. So it's not keeping your secrets. Then it'll lie, and then it can be reprogrammed the way they want it to spit out, you know information that's just false if they wanted to do that. So I guess that's my thing. It's one thing to say that I can train the AI to just work the way I work, and the way that I use it mostly is to edit my articles that I submit and to come up with, the little advertising blurb for it, because that's what the organization wants. But how do you entrust it when you deal with sensitive matters that could, if it get out, cause a whole lot of damage to your clients or customers, your reputation. I mean, there a lot of attorneys have been, getting into legal and ethical issues. Their licenses coming up to where they're being suspended, or possibly even losing them because they relied on a computer system to do work for them, and then do the double checking of that system to make sure that, oh yeah, all these are accurate.
Well, I could tell you this, and I had this conversation with the lady. It was crazy because we did one of our breakfasts, And
Mhm.
it was a political season, so it was a whole lot of politicians at that breakfast, right? And a lot of them were
Mhm.
Democrat, and she was a Republican, and she was really nice. So she sat next to me, and I felt uncomfortable for her because it was a room full of Democrats running for some office, and I always bust their butt like, so y'all show up when it's time to run for something, but we don't see you after that. So that's me all the time, but
Yeah.
we're sitting there and they're talking, political jargon or whatever. And she chimed in. She said, "Listen, my parents were staunch Republicans," and she went on to tell about her upbringing and how she went to all these different things with her parents. But later on, she asked me to go to for coffee, and I was like, "Okay, sure." So we go to coffee, and I said, well, "Let me ask you a question because I don't get to ask this question very often, and I didn't want to ask it in front of everybody because it could have been a little bit overwhelming." I said, "Why would you vote against something that was voting against yourself?" And she
Mm.
said to me, "Well, what are you giving up for that?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You're going to give up privacy." I said, "Privacy?" So I said all that to say, and we don't have any. And I said to her, "We don't have any privacy." So we don't have any privacy. If you've ever said, "Hey," if you got an email or a text message, "Hey, we regret to inform you that our process was breached on whatever," we have
Right,
no
right.
privacy, right?
Mm.
So anybody who says there's a privacy statement, the statement is pretty much useless. They just want to make sure people stay calm because we have none, not one
Mm.
iota. They want to find you, they can find you. They want to break, they can do whatever they want to do. We
Mm.
have none.
Mm.
That being said, what I would
Mhm.
say when it
Mhm.
comes to the ones that like Elon who has all this power, um, I mean, if you want to do that, you're a bad player, right? And there's nothing we can do about that. What I do believe, though, what AI is going to force us to do is go back to seeing each other in person. That's what I do believe
Mm.
because it's changing so fast and it's so wonderful. And I give you another prime example before we go. My uncle lives with me, my mother's brother. He's
Mm.
72. And
Mm.
he came to me. He loves to do this all the time. And I say to him, stop doing that because you don't
Mm.
know who that is. He comes to me. He said, "Hey, I need you to order this for me, right?" And it's some kind of vitamin. So what he sees is a doctor in a lab coat talking about it. And I said to him, "That's AI. That's not a doctor." He goes, "What do you mean
Right.
it's a doctor?" It's not a doctor. It's AI. I'm
Mm.
not ordering anything off of here because I don't know this platform. If I'll go
Right.
check Amazon and see if this product is on Amazon. It was not. It was something similar, same ingredients, but you're gonna see that there's gonna be a lot of that. The voice
Mhm.
already, like they can clone anybody's voice. If
Mhm.
you put a picture out there, if a picture's out there of you on, I don't care if you was at the Little League's baseball game and they got a good shot of you, they can
Mm.
turn it into something. We have no privacy. We have
Mm.
nothing. We don't have control over our image
Mhm.
anymore. We just don't have it, right?
Mm.
And a lot of people,
Mhm.
I've been told that they want me to do a workshop here in Gwinnett County about ethics and also how to move forward in the AI space. And I was like, I definitely want to do that, especially for seniors, because if they're getting a phone call and it
Mhm.
sounds like their grandkid because it can, how do you
Mhm.
know it's not? Well, you got to give them a passcode now. But I feel like
Right.
it's going to push us to going back into, you know, in
Seeing each
person, in
other.
face, if you really want to
Right.
know. On the flip side, if you want to learn how to
Mhm.
leverage those to help you, just pick something that you say, you know what, if anything gets out on this, it's okay. It's not going to be detrimental to me. But
Mm.
we don't have privacy, and I know that there's a privacy statement on
Well,
everything, and they put it there so we can relax. But in the big scheme of things, there's a young gentleman, and he is amazing. He has 5 degrees. He's a megatronics robotics engineer, right? He spoke at the Georgia AI Summit.
wow.
So he called me the other day, and he was like, he said to me, he said, "I don't trust anything coming in from China, any electronics." Well, our phones come from China. Like
Mm.
like part of the phones come from China,
Right.
part
Right.
comes from Korea. So we
Mhm.
don't know what's in these phones. Like we have them, but we don't we don't know what's in them because we didn't build them. China did, and so they probably listen to
Mhm.
everything we're saying, decoding. We don't have any privacy. We just don't. And I
Mm.
know
Oh,
people,
she
that's
froze
not
on
true.
us.
We don't have any.
She's good. I can hear her very well without a problem.
Can you hear me?
Well,
Okay.
I
I
have a
just
question if I can ask a question,
go ahead.
please. You know what this AI system and I'm listening to you, Audrey, and you made some good points. Oh, I forgot to say hi, Mike, and hi, Ann, and hi,
Hey,
William.
lady.
Okay. All right.
You
Don't want
said
to be messy. All right.
Mhm.
But anyway, I was
my
just
screen.
thinking, and I kind of chuckle a little bit because I have this system in my home, which is I know you all have the Alexa and Siri, and those are AI generated for sure. Um, I was told, and I'm apt to believe that they are perfecting of knowing who I am, and the reason why I asked my Alexa system to turn on some music, right? And she ID'd me as my title name without me giving it. And that kind of stunned me for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. And I was kind of, if you were a fly on the wall, you would think I had some issues. But I said, you don't know me that well to call me by that. And the system would say, good morning, Dr. Sims. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. And so there's some other incidences when I'm sitting here talking to maybe one of my children or talking on the phone. I'm under this impression, I don't know how you feel about this, Audrey. They are perfecting and knowing who you are by listening. Does that make sense? Um,
Listening by putting when you go to Chat GBT, not Chat GBT, when you go to Facebook and you like something, they know
yes,
what you like. When you go to
yes,
Facebook and TikTok and you comment on something, they know what you like. That's why you see certain ads that pop up on your Facebook page and your side your Instagram feed because you didn't say anything. You just hit the heart button, right? What
right,
the algorithm said, Dr. Sims like this. Let's show her more of this. So now you're being retargeted because you
Mm,
didn't say one word. You just hit that little heart thing or hit the thumbs up. There, that's what the technology is about. And
mm-hmm.
here's the other thing people don't understand, right? When won the election, all of the billionaires were standing behind him. Every one of them. Jeff Bezos, which I was shocked. They were all standing up there. Why were they standing up there? One, the reason they were standing because they wanted to make sure that the tech industry was not regulated so they can run buck wild and do the things they wanted to do.
Right.
That's why. It wasn't that they liked them, wasn't that they really cared about them. They want to make sure that their interest was protected. And
Yeah.
that's
Money.
right. And the way to do that was to stand up there right
Mm-hmm.
behind him. And what people don't understand is they don't care. It's
They
about
don't.
what they want. They don't care what the
Mhm.
optics look like. They don't care what we say. It's about what they want. We care about
Mhm.
what folks say. They don't care about it. We care about what people think about us. They don't care about that. So
Mhm.
now they have been put in a position where, well, 90 something $billion just got released again towards the AI 500 billion that's already out there that's not going anywhere. That money should be going to small businesses so they can understand how to use it. But it's a pot, almost $1 trillion sitting in the federal government for AI that nobody's talking about because nobody's paying any attention, but they're going to use it the way they're going to use it. So it's not going anywhere. It's getting smarter. It's learning everything that we do. It learns how we eat. It learns how we shop when we swipe a credit card. It know what we ate at. It know how much the bill is. It's not going. And we have no privacy. There is
And
none.
it can be
None.
used
None in case.
against you. All that
Mhm.
information
Absolutely,
can
it
be
Of
used
can.
for
course.
evil purposes and not
yeah, I
necessarily for
Absolutely.
believe
good,
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Very
which
true.
is what China
Yep.
is probably
So
trying to do.
That's right.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
China
it,
has
it
So
could
always
expose
been.
what you
I'm sorry.
go on.
China has China has always been more advanced than America. I feel, okay,
hmm
because when I look at some of the activity, they even start from a very young age with their children. Okay,
Mhm.
and I saw something. I'm like, wow, if we had this over in our schools, our children would be far advanced. I mean, they teach them how to live daily and training them, and it's just a thing that they do. And I've always thought that me as a young girl, I always thought that they were much more advanced, and I couldn't figure out why we don't accept some of the concepts of what they're doing. And I really feel like I don't know, and this is just my thought process. If they're going to have these AI systems in schools, teaching our children and all sorts
Mhm.
of things, it's kind of. And then I watch a lot of documentaries, and I was like, like you said, Audrey, you said that they're taking over. AI is really taking over, and said it too. They have pastors in the Catholic Church that are computerized. Um,
Mhm.
that a lot of and you don't know exactly what they're being fed. They look, from all provocations, they look like they're in the honest sector. But I was watching something, somebody sent me something, I think it was either Mike or William, sent me something of how they are trying to control the minds to
Mhm.
function in a certain arena. In other words, we are being deprogrammed to be programmed, if that makes sense. to the way the new system is going up. They're trying to common sense in us. I think they're trying to take it away from us, to us to be reliant on AI in a nutshell. Okay, so that we'll be so in a stupor about what we've done in the past and it worked, that we
Mm.
become so dependent on the mechanisms that they have today.
Mm.
Does that
And
make
I
sense?
think just like with anything, there will be some people that we're gonna lose to that, right? There are gonna be some people who are gonna fall into that trap, or you know what, this was real easy. I'm not doing anything else. And that will, because think about all of the other things people have fallen into. You know,
Yeah.
overspending, alcohol, drugs, all kinds of stuff. They just it's gonna be an addiction for some people, just like anything else. The lottery,
Mhm.
like I think about the lottery, it's an addiction for a lot of people. It will become that for some people, but you got to think those are the people who have those type of nature qualities anyway. They're the ones that have those type of personalities, and so we're gonna lose some people to that. You know, not lose them into not losing where
Mhm.
they're gonna like disappear, but lose them to the point where they're gonna be so reliant on that they're not gonna be able to function. But that's with anything. You have
Mm.
people that go to work 7 days a week and still broke, but
Right.
because they
Mhm.
know that if
Yeah.
I go to work, I'm gonna get a check, but still broke. And they
Right.
work 7 days, 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and they're still broke because they have not decided to make up their mind that I'm gonna go 7 days a week, but I ain't gonna be broke. They haven't decided to do that, so we're gonna lose those people. What I would
Mm.
say we should be looking at is how do we not lose so many people. I was telling my daughter the other day, they think I'm an alert, they think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm a realist. So I
Mm.
called my daughter and I said to her, because she's an IT engineer, right? And everybody think their job is safe. And I'm like, listen, stop thinking that. Because the
Mm.
minute that company figure out how to increase their bottom line, if that means getting rid of you, you're gone. Stop
Mm.
thinking
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
Wow.
indispensable at these jobs, right? And so she hates when I does that, when I do that. But I'm like, I need you to think that, you know, I'm just here for a time in the season. When they figure out how to replace me, they will. A lot of
Mm.
software engineers right now are losing their mind
Mhm.
because up until now, software engineers was a job to go for. Well, guess what?
Right.
If I have, and I give you a prime example. I was working on a tool. It's called Hey Daisy, and it is a AI bookkeeper and an AI call virtual assistant all together, right? And
Mm.
the AI was writing the code for me, but for some reason it was one piece of code it just could not fix, and I kept getting an error. Well, I took the code, right, and I
Mm.
dropped it over in Chat GPT Codex, and I said, "Hey, Lovable is having a problem fixing this. What's the problem?" Right? Chat
Mm.
GPT said, "Oh, this is the problem. Take this back to Lovable." So ChatGPT solved the code
Mm.
problem that I had spent about 100 credits on because it couldn't fix it in Lovable. I took the answer, dropped it back in Lovable, and it fixed the problem. I was able to launch the site. That was a software engineer job that I just took. I used two pieces of software that I paid
Wow.
money for,
Wow.
$120
Wow.
total. That just replaced a $75,000 to $100,000 job employee. I didn't do it
Wow.
intentionally, but I'm sitting here
Wow.
trying to figure out how to make my thing work, right?
That's incredible.
So
Mm.
Yeah.
before, to be a
That's
software
incredible.
engineer, it was like that's the job to have. Well, now you got to compete with all of these AIs that can talk to each other. Nobody's job is safe. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but for the most part,
They're
that's
Mhm.
not
all
true.
expendable.
Service jobs are a little bit
Right.
safer. You do roofs, if you do plumbing, if you do electrician, your job's a little bit safer. But if you do anything that an AI can do, you're not safe.
Well, you know what
Wow.
I do
Right.
as counsel. They even have machines, William, that now you have the teenager or whatever age group, they can go on this particular site and ask the questions, and it's like they're literally sitting there talking to a human person, but they're talking to AI, and
Mm.
AI is giving them some valuable information. Because I listened to one of them,
Incredible.
but I said they taking my job, okay,
Mm.
as a mental health
Mm.
specialist, and
Yep.
and they're sitting here talking to them, and this thing is just really wrapping it off, because I was listening to make sure that machine was on point. I call it a machine, but anyway, that it was on point, and it was on point. And I'm like,
Wow.
well, what am I going to do when it actually takes total effect? Like you said, Andre, we're going to be out of jobs because they're going to take over. I mean, they're already
Mhm.
doing surgeries in the hospital, these
Mm.
computerized AI machines and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us are going to be standing out in the wind,
Mm.
behind this.
Not you,
They're
Dr.
building
Sims.
houses.
Not you, Dr. Sims. Because Dr. Sims, what you gonna do? You gonna go to ask ChatGPT like, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do, and I need to make sure that I can keep my job, so it can tell you
Okay.
what you need to add to your bottom line."
You know, show you
Right,
what.
right,
Okay, I'm
right.
gonna do exactly what you said now.
Exactly.
Yep,
Exactly. Exactly.
yep.
Incredible. You know, that's why I titled this show "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of AI," because there's a lot of good with AI,
Yeah.
like you just
Mhm.
explained. There's so many things that we can do. But you also touched on something, because at first I was thinking about these mid and lower level jobs. Oh my God, these people will be struggling. But what I'm hearing from you right now, even if you had a high position job, you could still lose it
Mm.
because of AI. So we really need to get on the bandwagon with that. The problem. And one issue, like I said, let's talk about the ugly part of it, because a few years back, someone said in an article or something like that, that the next war, the next major world war, will not be fought on the battlefield, but it will be fought in technology with cyber. What's your
Mm.
take on that, Audrey?
Absolutely. I said to my husband, and I say this all the time, y'all. They think I'm crazy. Like so, my mom passed in 2021 from COVID, and so when
Mm.
she was the glue that held our family together, right? She called
Mm.
everybody every day. So when she
Mm.
passed, I'm not a caller, so we put everybody in a family chat. So every morning, everybody say good morning in the chat.
Right.
So once a month at least, I'm like, hey, you need to go get a solar generator. You need to go out and get you some solar panels, because if they knock the grids down, what do you do? So last week or
Right.
a week before last, I said to ChatGPT, I said, "Hey, I watched this movie. I go back a second. There was a movie that came on called what was that movie? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It was a movie. It was a political movie. It's on Netflix. But anyway, what had happened was they there was the vice president of the United States didn't like somebody. So she had them create a worm. And what the worm does, and that's a virus, what the worm did was
Mhm.
it had every country inside of the system. And if you didn't pay the ransom for your country, it shut you
Uh-oh.
completely down and you couldn't be rebooted, right?
Bruh.
And I'm sitting there
Wow.
looking at the
Wow.
movie and I'm saying to myself, this can really happen. So I
Mhm.
couldn't go to sleep after that. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, I can't think of the movie what I was watching. I said, hey, let's just watch this movie. What would happen to us if this happened? And it said this could
Mhm.
really happen, but here's how you can do it. Guess what it said? You need to learn how to farm, because we won't have any of those things. You need to
Wow.
make sure you can get some water stored up somewhere. So you need to have those. So I tell people, and I tell my family all the time, listen, get you. I know I sound like a prepper, but get you a prepping kit so you can have
Mhm.
water. Make sure you have filters, because I don't know if you guys remember, and I can't remember what year this was. I just remember I was in Jersey and the power grids went down. And
Mhm.
I freaked out because I'm in the middle of the street
Mm.
driving and all the lights went out. I
Mm.
don't know if you remember that when we had like that blackout. I was in Jersey at the time. It was crazy.
Yes.
But what could you do? Like, what could you do? There's nothing you can do. So that is true. And the person that and we got some evil people, y'all. I talk about AI because I know all the amazing things it can do, but there are some
Yeah.
Mhm.
evil, greedy people out there,
Yeah.
and they are looking at how can they crash us. When we had a couple of power outages about a month ago, and I kept saying,
Mhm.
I told my husband, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's like 100 degrees down here in Georgia, and we don't
Uh,
have any solar anything. We need to get this stuff. And I just said to him, I'm just gonna go buy it because I can't wait on you because I need to be prepared. I'd rather be prepared than sorry. So we need to start thinking about that. And I know it sounds so crazy, and I know people thinking, what if? But I can tell y'all, the pandemic took one of the most precious people in my life out of
Mhm.
nowhere. Just took her
Mhm.
right out of my life, right?
Mhm.
right.
Anything is possible.
It's not
Yes.
Anything.
crazy. You're
We
not
we
Yeah.
didn't
speaking
we didn't
crazy.
see that coming. And what was crazy about that, my mom said to me, I'm taking the vaccine. She was the only one in my family saying she was gonna take that vaccine. Everybody else like, we're not taking no vaccine. She's like, I'm
Right.
taking the vaccine. The vaccine came out in February. She passed in January. She never got a chance to
Wow.
take it.
See.
Guess what we
Wow.
all did after that?
Took that
Everybody went and got in line and
vaccine.
took the vaccine.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's what
Exactly.
we did. But for me, that probably gave me a little bit of PTSD and put me on high alert about a lot of things. But I feel like because I am that person, I can inform the ones that's not paying attention. And a lot of folks in my
Right.
family, they're not paying attention, or they think she acting crazy right now. I'm like, no, I'm not
Wow.
acting crazy. I'm just telling
There you
y'all,
are.
be prepared. So I believe it could happen. I don't want it to happen, but
Right.
we living in some very strange times, and it could
Yes.
happen. So the way to be prepared is to make sure that you have a solar generator and solar panels and solar refrigerators and all of those things, so you can, because they can't do nothing to the sun,
Well,
Right.
you know.
and I will add to that because you have a lot of companies out here. And this is another one of those things we talked about in continuing legal education here recently that I went to. But our attorney general's office had to sue a lot of these solar panel companies because they were doing committing a lot of fraud. So when someone comes to you to sell you solar panels, make sure that it's a reputable company.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of people who are doing these pressure sales and they're lying to folks and they're not really doing a good job. But I mean, you can end up paying in, the electric company a bill if you are um overtaxing, because they need to look and see exactly how much you're using or you what your needs are, because
Yep.
ideally you should be adding to the grid, not sucking up more
Yeah.
Yeah.
energy when you get solar panels. Another thing you need to make sure you're doing is getting a battery that charges up with the solar panels so that if
That's
you do
right.
lose electricity, well, if they lose electricity, you won't lose
Right.
power to your particular home. It's like having a generator, but a lot of these companies, they don't even offer that. They'll give you the panels and okay, well, the sun's out, so that's good, but what happens when the grid goes down? Will you still be able to use yours at night or whatnot? And a lot of people are finding, no, this is no better than when I I didn't have solar panels on my house. So you need to make sure you're going through a reputable company and that they're telling you truthful information. A lot of states have passed laws where you no longer will get money back if you are adding to the grid. They're protecting the electricity companies. So if they're telling you that you can get that, you need to follow up and don't give in to the pressure sales tactics that they have. Because there are a lot of them, that want you to jump on this particular special that they're having right now and blah 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 blah. No, you need to do some homework before you invest in some solar panels because they are very expensive, and it can be difficult to unload your house if you want to move if it is not done correctly. Just making
All
sure
true.
you understand that.
All
And
very
the other
true.
thing too is, if you have a question about that, check with your local power company, because down here
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Power has a whole solar energy program. The other thing too is, there are solar panel installers that they're not a part of some company trying to sell you the panels. You may be able to just go buy the panels on Amazon and let somebody
Mm-hmm.
install them. Now you don't have a 30-year mortgage on solar panels, because that's what it normally comes out to be. Like, you're gonna pay
Exactly.
30 years for them panels because you
Right.
just got on the financing program because it was free to set up, but you're still
Mm-hmm.
paying for it for 30 years, and you still don't know, like Judge Ann said, you still don't know how that's going to affect your energy. So in order for you
Right.
not to fall into that, just look into, like, do your homework. Look into
Mm-hmm.
see what panels are good. Can you get them on Amazon? And what does it cost for an installer who is that's their job? They're an electrician, but they also specialize in solar installation. And they will
Mm-hmm.
tell you this is what you need to be doing. Because here's the thing, their goal is to get you installed. They're not trying to sell you the panels. They don't care if they make residual on your panels or not. Their job
Mm-hmm.
is to get you installed, because their prime bread and butter is an electrician who happen to know how to install solar panels. So you're going to get a
Right.
more honest answer from those people versus a salesperson selling those panels who is about to put you in another 30-year mortgage for panels on top of your 30-year mortgage for your house.
Exactly. Exactly. And then there's one company that's out there, and I honestly think this is probably a better way to do it if you're going to do it, but they don't really make this clear on the front end. You kind of have to dig into it a little bit. So they come to you as if they want to help you with the refinance instead of telling you about solar panels. It's like, well, because we just moved into our home. Like, well, we just moved here. There's there's no equity in the house. We've only been here like a year at the time that they came over. But they were like, well, we think we can do it and blah, 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 blah. And talk to them a little bit more. The whole goal of this is to get you solar panels. So they want to use the equity in your house, refinance it, your house, so that the equity pays for the solar panels. And now you've got this new mortgage, which, if you are clear about that, that's what the point is. A lot of people may be more willing to do that because, number one, people refinance their houses all the time, and very often they're using the money to, upgrade their homes or get something that they've been wanting that they couldn't normally afford.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to make sure that even if you're doing it that way, that, okay, how many batteries do I get to go with the doggone panels? Some of the companies will charge you $25,000 and then tell you got to pay another 20 or whatever for the panels. That I'm not an Elon Musk fan, but if you go through Tesla, I believe when you make the purchase, the panels are included with any purchase. I mean, the batteries included with any purchase of panels that you do. So you need to make sure you're getting something, like that, where you're getting the most bang for your buck. Let's just put it that way. And as far as what Audrey was saying about being prepared, I think it's Costco that has emergency meals that you can get, like for you can get like
Yep.
60, 200, something. They have different levels. You can get this many packs and that many packs and this many packs. Um, and they have a very long shelf life because of the way that they're packaged. There's also they have these specially made straws that will allow you to supposedly drink water from a source that you wouldn't normally get water from, and it's got these filters through the straw that so that you can drink the water without being harmed. I don't know if I'm gonna test that theory on myself, but they're out there.
The good ones work very well. I think Life Straw is one of them. I think it's
Hmm.
Life Straw, something like that. There are ones out there that I personally use because I was heavily involved in search and rescue, and we were
Hmm.
drinking from dirty streams, and these things
Hmm.
were magnificent. So, but again,
Wow.
you buyer beware, right? Buyer beware.
Hmm.
Some of these Life Straws or supposed Life Straws work very well, and some don't.
Mm.
While I'm jabbering away here, my concern about AI, Audrey, is that it will be exploited by the evil people in this world, and what we have is the constant battle of good versus evil.
Yeah.
Uh, for every action,
Mhm.
there's an equal and opposite reaction. So for everything that AI takes over, it's taking away jobs from people that are barely getting by, perhaps. And I think the ones that are hurt the most are the lower income people by AI taking over those jobs. That's another concern of mine. AI is already
Yep.
being used in warfare. If you look at Ukraine and Russia, what are they using? They're using drones to kill people,
Yeah.
right? To blow
Mhm.
up tanks. Ransomware already exists. B of A's been hit a number of times where they had to pay great deal of money, or hospitals had to pay a great deal of money to get their information back because they were ransomwared. And the last
That's right.
question I have for you, Audrey, this is not AI related. So, what do you do for fun and relaxation that's not AI related? So I know I throw a lot of stuff at you, but go for it, girl.
Let me answer the part about the low income jobs first, because I was on Roland Martin show last year and we talked about upskilling. So right
Mm.
now, this is my opinion. AI will replace a lot of jobs, especially in the customer service space, especially like in warehouse spacing, because they got the robots and they got all these things that they can stack boxes better and quicker. They don't call out. They have those,
Mhm.
right? The people that are going to thrive are going to be the ones that manage the AI, right? So we have to start upskilling people and training people so that they can be in a
Education.
position to manage these AIs. Will everybody do that? Absolutely not, because a lot of people still don't think it's going to happen to them. Like I
Mm.
said before, they don't think it's going to happen to them. Low income people, again, for me, AI is a great equalizer, because if you can spend $75 on your nails, you can spend $20 on an AI plan, or
There it
$12 to
is.
learn AI. But that's a mindset, right? That's a mindset. That's the person that
Mhm.
want to do better. That's the person that can't let people get in their ear saying it's not going to work, it's not going to happen. That's a mindset, and I don't know how many patients you see, Dr. Sims, but trying to change people's minds is a lot of work most of the time. A lot of work.
Mhm.
So that's a
Absolutely.
mindset change, right? But if people decide, you know what, I want to do better. I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to lose my job to AI. I need to be the person managing the AI. There's a lot of skills out there that they can learn. And um here in Gwinnett, one of our things is upskilling people in those spaces. Like I ran a program last year called Chatbot Engineer Academy, where I was upskilling people on how to create chatbots. Why? Because the person that used to be the receptionist, they're going to get replaced. The receptionist is going to be replaced. If you
Mhm.
think you're going to stay in that job and they
Mm-hmm.
can pay, and I saw this girl, she did it. She told a story. She said I had an assistant.
Mhm.
She said, and her job was to answer my customer service. That was her job, her only job. Well, she went on vacation. So she missed 2 days of answering them calls. And she's like, I need somebody to answer my calls 24/7. She
Mhm.
said, I went from paying her $1,000 a month to paying $60 for AI. Those jobs are going to be
Wow.
lost. But what do? Well, you need to learn how to create automation systems so now you can run the automation. So you no longer the receptionist, you're the automation engineer that
Mm-hmm.
runs that automation for that person. So now you're not obsolete. You become that person that they need to make sure that automation is running. So
Mm.
people are going to have to change their mind. Now it's going to take jobs, but it is said to put out to create 97 million jobs. That's a lot of
Mm.
jobs. That's a lot of people working. So if it's creating
Mhm.
those jobs, your goal is to make sure that you are in a place that you can take one of them jobs and increase your revenue to your family by understanding how to use the technology. So, but that's a lot of work, and I think about people in rural towns where they're kind of still stuck behind the eight ball and they
Mhm.
don't embrace technology and they are afraid of technology and they don't understand it. Well, their community is probably going to suffer. And I don't know what
Mm.
to do about that except for keep doing what we're doing now and sharing the information. And hopefully people don't, they can take off blinders and say, listen, right now what's most important is my community. I don't care about nothing else going on. I know that these people in my community need to eat. I need to figure out how to make sure that I'm doing all I can do so that I can teach them what they need to do to eat.
Mm.
If that's not what they're doing, then they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to eat. So that's my
Mm-hmm.
spill on that when it comes to, jobs, upskilling. Upskilling is what we have to do, but you got to be willing to do that. All right, what do I do for fun? Well, I bowl and I
Mhm.
play Texas Hold'em
Yes.
and I'm on a call. I'm sorry. Somebody's knocking. I'm sorry, y'all. I bowl and I play Texas Hold'em, and I go out hang out with my granddaughter. She's 6, and that's about all I do. That's it. And I
Mhm.
love playing spades. Like I love
Oh,
board
you
games.
do?
Girl,
Oh,
girl,
See,
we were playing
girl.
Friday
okay,
night. What
now
you
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 got
gotta
say?
come with the spades,
see,
girl.
see,
Come on.
that's right up.
What
That's right up
you're
Ann's
you're a,
alley.
you're an
Ann is a
Yes,
outstanding lady,
spades
Audrey.
sir.
Thank
queen.
you very much for being on with Boomerang today. I've
Right.
enjoyed this immensely,
Right.
Yeah,
truly.
it's awesome.
Right.
Right.
I've got a question, Audrey. Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Audrey, we've got to do a part two on this because
Mm.
there's so much information out there. You have so much information. I'm just blown away
Right.
by your knowledge of this stuff. I got a question for you. What was your major in
Mm-hmm.
college?
Business.
What was your major?
She said
Okay.
Business.
business.
All right. Now,
So I
also,
was
do
really
you
good. I was really good in high school in math and science, but when I went to college, I majored in business.
Mm.
Well, I majored in
okay?
accounting, and then I switched to business.
Wow.
And I bet you were an A student too.
I was not.
Mhm.
Oh, she's
I
Bruh,
was
she
not.
honest.
I was very smart in high school. When I got ready to go to college, they told me to go to be an accountant.
mm.
And I was like, okay, but I was really good in math and science, so that's why they told me to be an accountant. So I went to
Mm.
be an accountant and hated every second of it. So all I did was
Mhm.
play spades and eat sunflower seeds. So
Girl.
Oh.
no, I wasn't. That's all I did, and was play spades. And they was like, "Get out, ma'am."
That
Yeah.
was your double major. Accounting and space.
Yep.
Spades. Oh, that's too cool.
Wow.
I do have another question. Now, also, you founded both the Georgia AI Summit and the Georgia AI Network. Now, do your summits. Now, do you teach the courses? Tell us a little bit about the AI Summit, the Georgia AI Summit, and the network. What happens in those two uh, areas?
So the Georgia AI Summit is we bring together a bunch of experts in AI all different industries, all different facets of AI, from AI to AI marketing to AI medical to AI customer service. We bring them together to introduce them to our community to find out what AI is going, what AI can do for them. So we bring them together. It's panel discussion, it's interviews, and it's a 1 day, all day long kind of event. Gwinnett County Economic Development is our sponsor, so they sponsor that event for us. Atlanta Tech Park is one of our partners, so they host the event for us, and we just bring all the speakers together to make sure that people understand what AI is going and how they can be a part of that. And then with the Georgia AI Network, that is a group, that is a network of leaders, community leaders, who are getting together to make sure that all across Georgia, they can implement AI plans into where they live at, into their community. Because right now, we're doing a good job in the Metro Atlanta area, right? So Metro Atlanta area has probably about 5, 6, 7 counties and about, oh my God, hundreds of towns. We're doing really good, but when you move outside of the metro, those towns are kind of struggling because they're smaller. They don't have like the power of the Metro Atlanta area to kind of help prop them up. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm from Albany, Georgia. That's where I was born. I go down there all the time. I'm going down next week. And a lot of times they just don't have the infrastructure or the know-how or the people to say, well, how can we implement this here? So that's why I created the Georgia AI Network for community leaders, chamber president, church leaders, economic development managers, so we can all get together and come up with a plan for the state of Georgia across the board, an AI plan.
That's a big. That's
Uh,
pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's very amazing, and I
Wow.
applaud you for all the work that you do.
Yeah.
No, it is absolutely necessary because, like you said, it's here. It's not going anywhere. It's getting a lot more sophisticated, And what I see, and Mike and I, Mike had mentioned earlier, and I mentioned before, the ugly part of it, and how AI can use things like you see these
Evil.
videos out here, and you see the person's likeness, and you also see
oh yeah.
uh, uh, their likeness, and not only that, their voice. And I understand that they can sample a small snippet of your voice, maybe 2 or 3 minutes or so, and create a whole conversation with it. And so you really don't know whether that's the actual person. And a lot of people are duped by this, or is it AI? And a lot of people
They're creating
really haven't
what's
caught up
called
with it. Yeah,
deep fakes. They're called deep fakes, where they create
yeah,
this whole video
absolutely,
that sounds like you,
absolutely.
looks like you, and they're called deep fakes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
A few years ago, before all of this AI came out, there was a company called The
Mm-hmm.
Script. And I remember when The Script first came out, I was like, this is amazing. They didn't say AI, they just said it could clone your voice. So one of my friends is an attorney. And as a matter of fact, I'm working with her right now because she wants to focus on ethics of AI. So she's kind of flipping her her attorney God, what's the word I'm looking for? Practice into an AI focused attorney in ethics, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
asked me, she said, what can I do as a girl ethics? Because people are definitely afraid of all of the crazy stuff they're doing. So that's what she's kind of leaning towards now, ethics and AI for as an attorney. But some years ago, she
Mm.
wanted a podcast and she's like, I don't have time to do a podcast. I said, well, there's this tool called The Script. You could clone your voice and I can produce a podcast for you. So I reached out to The Script and I was like, hey, I got a client. They want me to, do an AI in their own voice. They said, you can't do that. That was about 4 years ago. Fast forward to now,
They can now.
they
Mm-hmm.
can now, and they don't ask permission. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like 11 Labs. 11 Labs is one of the best voice cloning platforms out there, and the voices sound just like you. So that's one of them. And then there's a
Wow.
platform called Hey Jen that if you just put a picture of you sitting like this, that picture would talk and sound just like you.
Oh
And it was
yeah.
crazy because I saw this guy talking and he said, hey, I am the AI for the other guy. He's out doing this. So I'm here talking to you on YouTube. It was crazy. But it
Wow.
looks just like him. You have to pay attention and you'll see it do the same gesture like a couple of different times. That's when you know it's AI, but it looks just like you.
Wow.
Yeah,
But isn't that
That's
kind of
spooky.
scary because they
It
they
Spooky.
can they can put you in a crime
Mhm.
scene, and
Mm-hmm.
because it's getting so defined, and
Right.
Yep.
they had started even in the court system, making people think that it's not actually what you see, but
Mm-hmm.
because AI is in existence, it's being defined. It'll make you be there at a place and you never step foot there, or it
Mm-hmm.
make you look like you committed the crime, and that's the scary part. I think that's the bad part is that they can make you accessory to a murder and you weren't even there.
Yep. Hey, Audrey,
You know what?
Audrey, I'd like to give you an internet gift if I can. I'm going to see if I can get the camera to pick this up. There's a little story behind this. I gave a leadership conference talk to a bunch of people, and a couple of weeks later, and part of what I talked about was inspiration and inspiring people. And a couple of weeks later, I met up with one of the ladies that had been to my talk, and she gave me this. I'm going to try to get the camera to pick it up.
What is that?
She gave me
What
this
is that?
stone.
Oh,
I think
nice.
it's
Inspire.
onyx.
Okay.
She gave me the stone
Inspire. Nice.
Inspire,
Mm-hmm.
because she said you inspired me. She said thank you so much, Mike.
Oh, that is so nice.
So
That's
I'm giving
nice.
this to you as an internet gift. I know I can't physically give it to you, but at least
Thank you.
emotionally, I'm giving it to you. Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Mike. I
Awesome.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that is nice.
I
Very
want
nice.
to,
to
can I
Wow.
just answer one more question to Dr. Sims? Because hopefully this will put it a little bit at ease. So I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago when they came out with NFTs and all that stuff. Remember that? Everything
Yes.
was like NFT, NFT, NFT. So we couldn't figure out what to do with that technology, right? So now moving forward, they figured it out. They're going to be using the technology to encrypt like pictures and videos to make sure that the digital footprint is actually you. Because that's the only way they're going to be able to protect people's likeness is to be able to attach some kind of technology to it to say this is an original. So if you have a picture, it's probably gonna be encoded with something that's you, that's your signature. So
Okay.
now we can't just use it because so you can prove in a court of law I wasn't there. Why?
Right.
Because this picture belonged to me. That's a fake of me. So I think that's where I think that's where we're gonna go in Web3. Like Web3 came out and then it just hit. It just stopped. Like because they was like, okay, so who wants to be sitting up in the metaverse when I could just be on Zoom or StreamYard? Like what kind of sense
Wow.
does that make? Right. But at first it was really exciting, like, oh, we in the metaverse, and like, and I kept saying, why would I want to sit in there with some kind of avatar thing? Like, what? I can be on Zoom. They couldn't figure
Right.
it out. And so when they
Wow.
created the contracts for NFTs, they was like, okay, so I got this digital art, and people made a lot of money right out the gate. But now you just got a digital something that's could I couldn't figure that out. But I made an NFT. I was like, listen, if they making money on it, let me see how I can do it. It still didn't make sense. Now moving
No.
forward, the technology that's behind like the blockchain and all that kind of stuff, they're gonna probably start encrypting your videos, your photos, your voice, so people will
Oh,
know I wasn't there. I didn't
Mhm.
commit that crime. And the only way to do that is to look at your digital footprint based on those contracts that's gonna be attached to your content, the content of you.
wow.
But that we're a little bit of ways off of that. But I feel like that's gonna be the only way they're gonna be able to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here.
This
Look, you have taught us a lot this evening, lady. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
A
Thanks for
lot.
having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, that's why I asked Audrey to come back. Like I said, she was on the Groove Swing program. I said, this lady is amazing. And I thought I'd
Yes.
give the audience another treat to bring you back on, Audrey. And guess what? I want to call you again. I'm calling you again. You
I
got
love
to
doing
come
this. I
back.
can talk about this stuff all day just in case y'all haven't figured it out already.
You are very comfortable, lady. It's obvious you are very comfortable.
You know your stuff. And you know your stuff. Wow. Any last word, Dr. Sims? Any last word to Audrey?
I just wanted to say I enjoyed the portion that I did receive, and I did because William said I was late, but William was notified quite early, so I'm
Yeah.
responsible.
Yeah, you always
But
late, but that's
anyway,
okay.
but I really enjoy your information, Audrey. And while you were talking, I had a whole lot more to come up, but William's going to have you back, which I'm grateful for. So thank you so much for your expertise.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for
you'll
having
definitely
me.
be back. You'll definitely be back. Well, I
Yeah.
love having her. Mike,
You've
any last comment?
you've inspired me, so thank you.
Yes.
Mike.
Right. And
Well, William normally poaches my guests, but I think I'm gonna poach you from him this time.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
He almost
and-
always
and,
takes my people, but yeah, William, I think I might have to take yours.
Oh, yeah, like they say, payback is something, right? It is something else. Okay, that's not quite what you say, but
Well, I think
this is a
it's
family
interesting
show,
to-
so we're gonna leave it just like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting discussion because with me, I didn't have a digital footprint before Eating as an Active Worship Ministries, and the Lord was like, you're gonna have to do social media for that. So I didn't even have a Facebook page, Twitter, none of that until the Lord made me do this. And so I went, he forced me to go to a social media, or rather internet and ministry seminar. And so I'm thinking that that'll probably be a really good topic. Like, what do we do with, ministry and AI? How do those two things work together? And sounds like you're the perfect person to ask.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know if I'm the perfect person because I've had some Christians throw some rocks at me. So
Girl, they throw stones. They want to stone Jesus.
You know it. Come on.
They throw stones at a whole lot of people.
Exactly.
The Lord had to tell them,
Exactly.
let he who is without sin
Absolutely.
cast first stone.
Absolutely. Well, Audrey, as usual, you've been delightful and
Thank you.
education. You've educated a lot of us, and we've had so
Yes.
many guests. I've got Mike. You know this lady, Kim Rogers, out of Longview, Texas. Okay,
Yes, I do.
and she's visiting her sister in California, Bridget Kilpatrick. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I really love that. And Audrey, you've inspired me. You inspired our audience, our panel. So you are absolutely terrific. So definitely, yep, you'll be back on this show. And like I said, Ann said she has a show. Her show, the Eden as an Active Worship Ministries radio show, is on Saturdays. So if it's okay with you, I will give her your information, and so she can go on and steal my guest.
Absolutely, that's perfect. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Audrey. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I love doing this. And we just have to figure out how to help everybody. Um, it's not going anywhere, so we just got to figure out how to help communities that are struggling, and show them that there's opportunities. And I'm gonna tell you, maybe you should like figure out how to join my friend and become an ethics AI attorney over there to help. Put some safeguards and some rails around the whole thing to keep
Something,
people
girl.
in as better check as you possibly can.
Something, girl. Look, think out the box for me. I appreciate that.
Hey, guys. Hey, thank you so much, Audrey. Thank you, darling. Love you, Mike, Dr.
Thank
Sims,
you.
and Ann. Hey, guys, enjoy your Sunday, guys.